Last time I came, it was just after the Yom Kippur War, November 73. I came as a volunteer. The plan was to be here for 3 months, and I stayed for a year. And the population of Israel then was 2 million rand, 2 million people. And it was a poor country in those days. And I've been following it as a journalist for the last 10 years, and it's just fascinating to me. My name is Katz, and I publish a website called sajr.coza, which is SA Jewish Report. www.sajr.co.za, or as we call it, .coza in South Africa.
And it is from South Africa?
From South Africa, and it covers religious affairs. There's a big South African Jewish community. There's a big Israeli community in South Africa, about 30,000 people.
30,000 Israeli people?
Yeah.
And how many Jews?
And about 80,000 South African Jewish people.
80,000?
And very homogenous. We call ourselves Litvaks because our families all came from Lithuania. And so it's a very, as I say, homogenous community. We're not very mixed. And it's probably the fromest Jewish community in the world. They've managed to keep 87% Orthodox. Although they don't all practice Orthodoxy, they all belong to Orthodox shores.
And what is the situation with the black community?
During the struggle years, the ANC were very close to the PLO. We got a lot of assistance from the PLO. And so they've leaned towards the Palestinian side as a government. But as the younger generation has come through and they found out that it worked out now, I mean, Israel is their biggest trading partner, it's their biggest tourism partner. And so the government's attitude is changing considerably to Israel. They've appointed a very high-powered government diplomatic group here, and Israel has sent a much stronger ambassador and deputy ambassador to South Africa. And
who is the ambassador?
The ambassador at the moment is Arthur Link. He came last year, LENK. He's originally American. And the deputy is Michael Freeman, who is originally from England. And the South African ambassador here is a man by the name of Sisa Ngombane, who was previously the Director General of Foreign Affairs for what they call Asia and the Levant. So he's very, very experienced. And they're all working very hard to improve relations.
And today we are meeting Shimon Peres, I believe.
And Bibi Netanyahu.
Bibi Netanyahu, right?
But I think certain things might change.
Why?
Because of the political situation in Israel at the moment. I don't know if we're going to go to the West Bank as expected. They're trying to have these crisis talks about ISIS at the moment, which may mean that Bibi will have to send someone in his place. So I think the political and strategic events in the neighborhood could affect the program of the conference.
Now, if Bibi comes, what will be your question for him?
My question to Bibi would be, it wouldn't be a question, it would be to say that it's very good that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the new Ministry of Information have suddenly decided to take an interest in what the rest of the world thinks about Israel, because up until now they've been very arrogant. They said, you don't like us, so you don't like us. But just this conference in itself is very important. So I think it's a step in the right direction. They're upgrading their diplomatic corps. They're offering a lot of agricultural services, certainly into the African continent, and they suddenly care. They didn't care before, and I think that's a very positive change.
And what would be your message to the Mexican Jewish community, like from the South African Jewish community to the Mexican community?
That the kibbutz that I stayed on, Katz, was in fact originally all Latin American Spanish people who started it. So the language there was Hebrew and Spanish. Everybody, even the youngsters, were learning Spanish. I think that South Africa, especially if one is a religious Jew, is the easiest place in the world to be a religious Jew. It's very, the population's very concentrated. We have shtetls, we have Eruvim, so it's very safe around the Jewish areas. We look after our own protection, and it's a wonderful place to visit and a cheap place to visit.